I had a meeting today, so I'm a lot more put together than what I usually am when I'm up this early in the morning. But so I was playing. I've been playing. I still am. I think I'm almost done though. But I've been playing Crisis Core, Final Fantasy 7, and playing this game, playing Remake, and then watching Advent Children, the original, and then the complete edition or the special edition that's got like 15 to 20 minutes of extra footage in there between battles and dialogue and stuff like that. I've noticed that when it comes to Final Fantasy entries, 7, when you come in fresh to all this new media that's going on, and I talk about this one because it's the most popular, and of course because Rebirth is getting ready to come out, you realize that a lot of this shit makes no fucking sense, right? Especially for people who the original FF7 isn't their first entry. I can only speak for myself. So for me, Advent Children and technically Kingdom Hearts 2 was my way into the world of FF7. When I first saw Advent Children, I thought it was the dopest shit that was out there, right? For the time that was in, and compared to like the Disney and the Pixar stuff that we was getting, top notch, like CGI and action effects compared to what was going on back then. I even made a comment at one time, like the CGI back then for Final Fantasy 7 Advent Children, and I even think Spirited, whatever the goofy one that was like the first movie flick that they released, Square Enix, right? It was Spirited or Spirits Within or something like that, right? The CGI was so top notch that it looked back then how video games look now. All of the like extra media and the extra things that you have to absorb and to take in to understand Final Fantasy 7 as a story makes zero sense if you actually don't know what's going on. So for me, I came in through Advent Children, and I came in through Kingdom Hearts. Through Kingdom Hearts, you have characters like Aerith, you got Sid, you got Yuffie, you got Cloud and Sephiroth, all in this world interacting with Sora. And it looks cool. Like the shit that they were doing in the game looks cool, which is why I guess I can understand, because they want to branch away from it a little bit as a company, and I'm kind of upset that Kingdom Hearts 3 won't have, or any other further Kingdom Hearts from this point won't have any more Final Fantasy characters, because that's really what brought me into it, right? When I first seen Kingdom Hearts 1, there wasn't enough of the Final Fantasy shit to get me interested in this game. The series has been out for a minute at this point, but in Kingdom Hearts 2, you see all the shit between Cloud and Sephiroth. You actually get to fight fucking Sephiroth. I know you got to do that in the first one, but the second one was like top notch. And you got to use like the drive forms and stuff like that. And then you got like the Heartless battle where they're all out helping you. Like that shit was pretty goddamn cool. And I know they had other FF characters in there, but the seven characters is what pulled me in. And so wanted to go further into that universe. You got Advent Children that comes out, and I'm watching this movie and I'm like, yo, the action is fucking dope. Like the fight scenes are like, it's amazing what they were able to pull off back then, but the story makes no fucking sense. When fucking Tifa was going dilly-dally, shilly-shally, that's what the fuck was going on in my head, because I'm like, what is actually happening? Who are these characters? What are they doing? What is their tie to what's going on in the previous, I guess, compared to the previous game, right? And the issue that I have with that is when they get all these extra media, you got like Ever Crisis, you got Crisis Core, you have Crisis Core Reunion, you got Advent Children, and then you have Dirge Cerberus, which we won't talk about at all, right? When you try to go into these things blind, you come out with the same type of knowledge that you would come out of a Kingdom Hearts game with, right? Regardless of how many of the fucking titles you played. It's been 13 fucking years since I've known and been playing Kingdom Hearts, and to this day, I still don't know what the fuck is going on in the story. The MacGuffin of the story, Kingdom Hearts, it's in the damn title. Nobody can sit here and tell you what Kingdom Hearts is, right? Because nobody's ever actually been, and nobody's ever actually obtained Kingdom Hearts. That, to my knowledge, out of all the information, there's like a YouTube video where there's like 3 hours of KH lore and breaking down what actually happens in these stories. And I still don't know what's going on. And that's the case for all the extra media in 7 if you don't know what's happening. Now for me, I've never played the original 7 remake. I've watched it. Now I will say I've watched it and I've learned the story through the end. So going back and watching Advent Children, going back and playing Crisis Core, all this stuff, it makes sense now. But if I were to play, or anybody else wants to get into these things, like, you have to play the original game, not even remake, because the thing about remake is a sequel to, and I'm not going to go into spoilers, but I will let you know, remake is a sequel to what's going on in the original FF7. If you sit and you play and you're confused about some things, even as a new player, that's because you didn't go through or you didn't learn about what was actually happening in the first game, which is nuts. And I think there needs to be, I don't know if that should necessarily be a responsibility of the devs, or at least, like, I guess in a sense it's 50-50. It's half on the fans and the people that want to get into it, and then half on the devs. Because look at a series like God of War. And I reference this game a lot because if you take into consideration what the story was and what it is now, not even just the story, but the gameplay and everything as a whole, you can come into this game, right? I'm speaking God of War 20, I'm not gonna get into dates, but the remake of God of War, and then God of War Ragnarok, right? You can get into these games not having any knowledge of what happened between the first 3 God of Wars, the 2 PSP games, and then Ascension, I believe was the 4th one after 3, right? You don't have to play or watch any of those, and you can play God of War 2018, I believe, and then God of War Ragnarok, and still know what the fuck is going on inside of these games. I can, like, my girl who, she'll delve into some video games every now and then, but my girl who has no knowledge of really video games as a whole, and then coming in and she'll sometimes sit and watch me play God of War, or, ask me questions and be able to comprehend the story and know what's going on from start to finish. And that's what I wish the devs and the storytellers of Final Fantasy VII would do, especially with this being your most popular IP, this being the one that people gets into consistently. I wish they would go through, if not sit there and have to manually or go through everybody and tell, hey, make sure you play 7, make sure you do this, or anything like that. At least with the storytelling that you have going on in your current games, let it be known that this is what's happening, this is what's going on, this is the basis of the story, so that way everybody can understand. Playing Crisis Core, if I had no knowledge of what went in 7, I'd be confused as shit, because they're dropping all of the Crisis Core. And I was watching somebody else that said it's a big ass info dump and a big ass spoiler for what happened in 7. Because you're introduced to all these characters, you're introduced to these younger versions of these characters, these towns and people and places where you may see the main faces. I think the only ones you might recognize in Crisis Core from 7, like if you're familiar but don't really get into it that much, is like Sephiroth and Tifa, right? Minor spoilers for that game. Dirge of Cerberus really we won't talk about. Advent Children, you're seeing all these characters and you may recognize them, but you have no idea of what's going on within the story because there's so much that already happened and all they're doing is basing it on there. And the same is said with Remake. Remake is literally a sequel. It's not, it says remake, but it's not a remake in the traditional sense of the word. It's a remake in the sense of there's certain things that are happening within the story that is a reason why they're titling it that, right? So I wish the FF7, for how popular it wasn't as confusing as a story, easy for people to get in, as easy as it was for literally people who've never played fucking games before to sit here and get into something like God of War and comprehend the story of Kratos and everyone around him and not have to even play any of the other stories. Because I don't even think I played Ascension, and I know I haven't played the other 2 PSP games. And without any knowledge, me and my girl can go in and enjoy that game and enjoy the story for what it is and still have an understanding of what happened. And I do wish Square Enix would take that initiative and do that with their popular series, the one that everybody wants to get into, right before fucking Rebirth comes out. Also, why the fuck in Crisis Core are Cactars so goddamn OP? It makes no sense. My shit is maxed. I'm doing 99999 damage, and that's not an over exaggeration or a fucking cap. right? These things are too goddamn strong. Y'all need to nerf these motherfuckers.